Hi friends, today I want to tell you about the Chiron station in Aries, which is happening now and is exact on July 15th. Let's talk about what stations are and how to work with this infusion of Chiron energy. When a planet stations, it appears fixed in its position in the sky, often for several days and sometimes for weeks. From our perspective, it's as if that planet has time to infuse more energy into that area of our chart that it's making contact with. Right now, Chiron's stationing retrograde at 12 degrees of Aries. This means that if you have planets or angles in the range of 12 degrees of Aries and also Libra, Capricorn, or Cancer, Chiron's making a strong aspect to those planets or angles. So this would be a perfect time to get to know a bit about Chiron, if that's you, since there's an opportunity to learn something about what Chiron represents and to also consciously engage with that energy that's being constellated in that part of your chart. So what is Chiron all about? Chiron was first discovered in 1977 as a small icy body out there orbiting between Saturn and Uranus. Initially thought to be an asteroid, it was later classified as a comet due to its physical properties. Since it's relatively new to our awareness as astrologers compared to planets like Venus or Saturn, which we've observed for thousands of years, we still have a lot to learn about Chiron because it takes years of study and many astrologers paying attention to the correlations in their clients' lives and in their own lives to find the essence of that planet's archetypal field. But even though we're really at the beginning stages of that process in the context of history, there's been some great work on Chiron done so far, and astrologers like Melanie Reinhardt and Barbara Hand-Clough have made some great contributions through their books, so definitely check them out if you're getting the urge to learn more about Chiron because of this video. Many astrologers have started their exploration of Chiron with the Greek myth behind the name of this planetary object. And in that mythology, Chiron was a centaur who was kind of a standout among his kind, because while most centaurs fully expressed a more animal nature with quite a bit of debauchery, Chiron was a scholar, healer, teacher, and mentor. In contrast, Chiron's skills in this arena were so great that he mentored many of the famous heroes you may have heard of from Greek myth, including Heracles, Achilles, Jason, and Asclepius. Through an unfortunate series of events, Heracles accidentally shot Chiron with a poison arrow, shooting his mentor and teacher, wounding Chiron, and thus we have the association of the wounded healer. Now we can do a lot with this image, as many have, so let's say a few words about that, but let's also not stop there, and let's also assume, as I said earlier, that we have a lot more to learn about Chiron. But during an important Chiron station like the one now, and remember, I'm calling it important if it's making a tight aspect to a planet or angle in your chart. During this time, you may find yourself in a situation that's either calling for healing or in which you're asked to step into a healing role for someone else. Chiron healing isn't the kind where you just take a pill and get better, or hope to. Instead, it's a time to dig into the underlying causes of what's ailing you and to take a more holistic approach to your healing. Look for physical causes, yes, but also look at the emotional and energetic ones underlying those. If you've struggled with a chronic physical or emotional issue, Chiron transits can really open up the channels to find healers to work with who can help you navigate this terrain. So if that's you, seek out those folks now. Watch for signs and synchronicities that point you in the right direction. Ask friends for referrals, and of course, do some research online as well. You might especially seek out relationships in which someone's helping you as a mentor, a teacher, or a guide to an experience that you're not familiar with. Chiron healings are often non-linear and don't always make rational sense, so they can be hard times to figure out. Chiron times ask us to participate with as much openness as we can, but they aren't always easy to understand, and I wonder if we're meant to. I've seen healings take place without the person totally figuring out everything in the light of that kind of solar kind of consciousness or experience. Sometimes healing a chronic emotional wound takes place because we've got the energy or awareness to sit with our emotions and to review our past experience that led us there in a way that we didn't have the resources for at the time. Part of us would like to get in there and figure out what happened and solve the problem and move on, but that might not be how healing happens in Chiron time, which is more about a process, and again, it requires our participation. And one of the first stages in opening to that process is deeply accepting our situation exactly as it is. The first stage of healing is acceptance. So you may find Chiron nudging you in that direction right now. There's more to say here, but in the interest of keeping this video short, I want to talk about another very different potential during a Chiron transit. And let's weave in a little bit of Aries too. If you've done some conscious work over many years on your own wounds or hurts or the tender places in your psyche and heart, you may find that over time, you make progress. You've got deeper insights and perspectives about the origins of those issues or your relationship to those issues or experiences. And when you share your story with others, you find that actually you've got some pretty great wisdom to offer. Now that's a Chiron experience too, because you're finding yourself now in the role of healing mentor. Because you've engaged in the healing process, you now have something valuable that you can share with others that could inspire them and help them along their healing journey. Chiron wounds can be physical, but they can also take on many other forms. A Chiron and Aries hurt might come from a fear of asserting the self or taking up space with our own desires. There might be a challenge in expressing leadership energy or in being competitive with others, so we could find issues arising around some of those dynamics. And in response, we might initially reject those energies. But all Chiron wounds ask for our participation. Rejection and suppression don't turn out to be great coping strategies, and those negative responses to energies that we're uncomfortable with can actually, in the long term, lead to a healing crisis later on, in which our body says, I know you don't want to deal with this, but guess what? It's time to deal with it now. My point here is to cast a wide net if you're exploring this Chiron terrain right now. Don't just think of physical symptoms or challenges. If I were to ask you right now, what do you need to heal in yourself? What have you put off or ignored or been too busy to address, but that you know you need to work on? The answer that you come up with might just be the Chiron work that would be worth your attention as Chiron stations in Aries. Chiron will spend a long time on this 12th degree of Aries. It only moves back into the 11th degree on September 1st as part of its retrograde cycle. In other words, this is a transit that you're invited to spend some time with. It's not something you're going to resolve over a weekend workshop, but do seek out some of those workshops to include in your process, as well as one-on-one healers, counselors, energy workers, coaches, or anyone you're drawn to work with. Seek out people who have done the work themselves and who have that real mentor to heroes quality that we find in the Chiron myth. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's astro message, and I'd love it if you could pause and hit the like button because that'll really help this healing message reach a few more eyes and ears. We just opened up our once-a-year bundle registration special for our 4-year astrology training program, and if you're interested in diving deeply into the mysteries and gifts that astrology has to offer, stop by astrologyuniversity.com/program to learn more. That's astrologyuniversity.com/program. And until next time, take good care.